More insight, let's bring in Graeme Bannerman. He's the founder of Bannerman Associates, an international consulting firm. Graeme, welcome.
Thank you.
How important is a stable Egypt to the United States and its closest ally in the Middle East, Israel?
Egypt has been a strong partner for the United States for the last 40 years. Since the Camp David Agreement, the United States has benefited greatly from its partnership with Egypt, and Egypt has benefited greatly from its partnership with the United States.
What are some of the areas of cooperation between these two countries?
Well, over 40 years, you have many areas of cooperation. I mean,
security, certainly.
Security is number one, because Egypt, as the most important country in the region, and the United States as the most important military power in the world, has been partners together and has brought stability to the region. We've had more difficulties in recent years as we adjust to the changes, the rapid changes that are occurring because of radical extremism in the region, but we still work closely together.
Sisi certainly has his share of challenges, domestic challenges in his countries. You've got the rising cost of living, you've got austerity measures, you've got crackdown on dissent, prolonged anti-terror campaign on the Sinai Peninsula, then the very controversial decision to cede two islands under Egyptian control to the Saudis. Graeme, do you think any of this has sort of eroded his popularity, especially with the economics?
Well, the key to Egypt today, where most Egyptians are focused on, as your commentator said before, are security and the economy. President Sisi has made decisions on the economy that people here in the United States have been urging the Egyptians to do for 20 years. They cannot have the subsidy system they had to take it away. Everybody knew if you did that, there'd be social consequences that are hard, particularly on the urban middle class has suffered more than people in the countryside. He has made those decisions. He's also taken a path for economic growth where the government is the generator of power, the generator of the growth. It's followed more of the Chinese model than the American model. If you look at what they've done, build cities, build roads, build infrastructure, improve the Suez Canal, these are all things generated by the state. But if you talk to businessmen in Egypt today, they are very optimistic about the future, more than they have been since 2011.
Businessmen, maybe, but what about struggling, ordinary Egyptians, Graeme?
Clearly, anytime you do these economic reforms, the concern has always been, in a country where 40 million people live on $2 or less a day, how do they suffer? What's going on there? And they've tried to take measures to relieve that. This is a terrible problem which he has to address, I think, which they're trying to address.
So where are some areas that you believe Sisi needs to really work on? And do you believe Egypt is a better country today than it was years ago,
no,
10, 15 years ago?
The question is
no, but I want you to answer my question
no,
too.
It's your question, but I'd like to take a different day. I can't tell Sisi how to do things before he was in office. Is the country
since he's been in office?
Since he's been in office. Is the country a better country today than when he took office? And the question is clearly yes. They're more united, the economy's doing better, and they're addressing the security issues.
You know, there was so much hope in 2011 after the Arab Spring protests and the revolution that Egypt will be on a path to democratic changes. Has that happened? No.
I think that's clearly what's happened in Egypt is the priority in Egypt has been on security and the economy, because I think the belief is the most important human right is to be free of being fear of you can walk down the street. That is the clear first priority. Second, you have to be able to have a job. That's where the priorities are. They do not have the priorities of human rights, democracy, and they've fallen short in those areas from the Western standard. But they aren't their priorities.
Understood. Thank you, Graeme Bannerman. Thank you so much.